Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about two of my most favorite topics. Number one being motorcycle track days, and number two being my CBR 600 F4i. Now this video is going to be a breakdown over the last 12 months or so that I've had my CBR 600 F4i. It's been an awesome experience to own, and I'll be talking a little bit about how it performs on the track and in daily life. Yeah, let's jump into it. Alright, first of all, let's jump into the raw numbers. The CBR 600 F4i, mine is a 2006 model year, comes with a 599cc inline 4-cylinder engine with 4 valves per cylinder. It makes about 109 horsepower at the crank and about 48 foot-pounds of torque. Is the bike fast? Well, I personally think it is fast. I was on the racetrack down at the Ridge Motorsports Park here in Washington State, and on the front straightaway I was able to, at least my speedometer told me, I was able to hit 141 miles per hour. It's probably the fastest I've ever gone on that bike, but it was such a thrill. So yeah, I would say it's fast. Let's talk a little bit more about how usable that power is. The power does come on, I would say around 8,000 RPM is when you're getting max torque, or at least getting up to it. The bike revs out to about 14,000 RPM, so it's a little bit lower than most high compression super sports nowadays. But one of the things that I really like about the CBR 600 F4i is that it really teaches you how to be a good rider. Some of the things that the bike does not have is like a slipper clutch, doesn't have ABS, no stability control. Everything that you're doing on that bike, it's controlled right up here, you know. So for me, it's been a real experience to really learn how to ride the bike, you know. And one of the good things about it is that it is fuel injected, so you know it's going to start up every time. I've worked on a carbureted bike before. I'm sure you guys know my GS 500. I don't have it anymore. I've sold that bike, but it's been a real treat to work with something that has fuel injection. Very easy to use, very easy to maintain. So let's talk a little bit about the track experience itself with the motorcycle. Handling. It's handled fairly well. Now, keep in mind, I've only rode 2 motorcycles on the track. One was my CBR 600 F4i, and the other was my buddy's Gixxer 600. I think his was in 06. I think his is a 2006 as well. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm basing my comparison off of right now, at least. So, for example, one of the things that stood out to me about the CBR 600 F4i, out the box, the suspension is super soft, and that's not necessarily the best thing for going around a track at high speed. The main difference there being that I could feel it. So most of my track time was spent at Pacific Raceways, and at that track there are a lot of corners, and I could feel that diving into the corners under heavy braking, the suspension would compress a lot, and the lift-off coming out of corners would sometimes unsettle the bike, it would feel like. Funny story though, on my last track day, I was up at Pacific Raceways, and a guy by the name of Dave White comes over. This guy's a genius. He's worked with MotoGP, World Superbike, he's been on pit crews, he's an engineer by trade. And he came over and we had a long discussion about motorcycle racing and, you know, what it means to him, what it means to me. And the guy was so nice. He comes up and says, "Here, I'll tune your suspension for you." And so he goes through and adjusts the front forks, both of them, and then he goes and adjusts the rear shock as well. As a matter of fact, he even got me an official tech sheet for it. Hang on. So if you have a CBR 600 F4i, this is the track sheet that you should, well, I'm not going to say you should use this because this is set up specifically for my weight and your experiences could be vastly different. But after Dave worked with the suspension on the bike, I was able to, you know, shave at least a couple seconds off my lap time, and on top of that, it made me feel a lot more confident with the bike as well. Oh, this is particularly for my bike. I've gone to the track with a couple of friends, and one of the things that I found nice about having the F4i was I could go an entire track day on one tank of gas. I still think you should bring an extra can just in case you run out, but on the 3 track days that I've been to, I've been able to complete the track day without having to fuel up more than once. Can't say that about my other friends. Their bikes drink gas pretty quick. I think my tank might have a little bit higher capacity. All right, let's talk about comfort. So comparing straight up between Gixxer 600 and my CBR, the Gixxer 600 was not as comfortable. The riding position on it is a lot more aggressive, and on the F4i it's a little bit more laid back. The clip-ons are higher and then when compared to the Gixxer. One other thing I noticed, even with my adjustable foot pegs or my rear sets on the GSXR, the Gixxer, they were much higher, so the riding position was much more aggressive overall with the GSXR. So at the end of the day, I didn't feel like, you know, I had been breaking my back. I was pretty comfortable the whole time. Now, this is more anecdotal evidence. I'm not going to say that the CBR 600 F4i is the best track bike in the world, because it's not. But there are a lot of old timers that I ran into at the track day who really liked my bike, and they said they remember when they first came out and they were slaying everything. You know, people thought they were the best. You know, at least in my circle. It's just a little bit of anecdotal evidence there. All right, let's talk brakes for a moment about the CBR 600. The brakes on the CBR 600 F4i that I'm running are completely stock. My bike is, for the most part, 100% stock. And the brakes I found were very good, surprisingly. I was expecting them, in comparison to like carbon brakes, to show a lot more fade throughout the day, but I didn't notice too much. I was still able to control the bike in a very composed manner. There was a couple of times where I locked up the rear brake, but I think that was more rider error than the equipment itself. But yeah, they were very good. Starting out as a beginner rider on a track day, I mean, I'd only been riding for, I would say, 6 months before I had my first track day. And, you know, it was a very fulfilling experience. I will say this. If you're a new rider, please go spend some time on the track. If you ever want to do some aggressive riding, I think it is the best thing for you to do. Listen to this raw footage of me coming back from my first day of track riding. I was in the middle of a, you know, a little bit of a battle between this other guy on the track and myself. I was really trying hard to pass him. Being in Group 1, you have to pass in a specific way. You can't just overtake somebody anywhere. But man, we were having this battle, duking it out on the track, and just listen to my reaction when I get back.
Yeah, man! Ah, dude! That was so awesome!
Successful?
Ah, dude, you gotta watch it. I was... Hold on, let's go talk to this guy. Dude! I don't know if you let me pass you at the end or what, man, but I was trying so hard to keep up with you.
I corners faster than me, and I saw you right there, like, eh.
Yeah. I mean, because we would come out, and I'm like right behind you, like, and then you just horsepower battle. You just took it away. Oh man.
As soon as I figure out how to corner, it's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, it looks like you're having a blast anyway. I mean, you're kicking ass.
So now let's talk about how much it actually costs to go to a track day with the CBR 600 F4i. So I purchased the bike originally for $1,900. The bike had been wrecked, clean title, just, you know, it had a low side at like 25 miles per hour is what I was told. No frame damage. So, you know, I had completely rebuilt the bike as far as getting, you know, new bars, new fairings, new mirrors, installing frame sliders, things like that, new tires. And so at the end of the day, all in, I was probably looking at about $3,000 total, which is super cheap. And honestly, I wouldn't have even had to get new fairings or any of that. I could have taken the bike out with new tires and adjust the fairings as they were. So let's say you just did that, probably looking at about $2,500 total. Now, one of the more exciting parts of this video, let's talk about the tires for a moment. So the tires that I'm running are the Michelin Pilot Powered. They're the street version of this tire, and they did excellent on the track. My buddy had slicks on his Gixxer that I rode, but comparing the two, I was very, very confident with those tires. They're also very affordable. I think for a set, you're looking at about $200, $250 for front and rear, and they did amazing. Honestly, I can't say enough about them. I love them. And there was even one moment where it was raining out on the track, and I got the bike into a little bit of a skid, and I just let off the throttle, let off the brakes, let the bike settle beneath me, and it was totally fine. Can't say enough about them. Really, really good tires. All right, let's wrap up our two main topics. Number one, is the CBR 600 F4i good as a track bike? Absolutely. Yes, it is. Super affordable. Can't miss out on it. Number two, should you do track days? Absolutely, I think so. Track days are a great way to learn your bike, learn about yourself as a rider, and gain more skills. I think everybody should do it at least once. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and please leave a comment. It helps with YouTube engagement analytics, and I really want to grow my channel here. So guys, thanks again for watching. Stay safe out there. Let me know if you want to hear me talk about anything else, and I'll see you next time.